Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our monthly Real Mushrooms for Pets Facebook Live. My name is Joni Kamlet, and I am with my my trusted colleague and friend, Dr. Rob Silver. How you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm good. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to be here too. I missed being here last month, but you and Jordan knocked it out of the park. So
Well, you were missed. You were definitely missed.
thank you. And welcome anyone out there in the Facebook world who is showing up. As usual, we start with a topic and then move on to questions and answers. And tonight we're going to talk about detox, big topic. And Rob, I know you've been writing about detox, gosh, for over a decade, detox in pets. And what is detox for pets and how can mushrooms help?
Well, basically, detox means removing toxins.
Right.
It's simply. And we live in quite a toxic world, when you look at all the news reports about all the pollution and this and that and PCBs and everything else. And so when it comes to detoxification, there's two parts to it. The first part is avoidance, which is really a pound of prevention's worth, an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. And this is kind of where many of these pet health coaches are so strong in recommending avoiding processed commercial foods because they are a source of many toxins. And so by altering what goes in, we have less of the second part of detoxification, which is actually stimulating systems within our body that are designed to remove these toxins. And the human body, the animal body, really it works very well with normal levels of toxins. We do a good job of detoxifying things, but because our planet has just become so encumbered with all of this chemical waste, with all of these byproducts of manufacturing and everything else, that it's more than what our bodies and our pets' bodies are genetically programmed to do in terms of detoxification. So that's where we need to bring in some partners to help with detoxification and help. And the primary organ of detoxification in the body is the liver. So we look to improve the liver function. And perhaps you've heard of an herb called milk thistle. And the milk thistle seed itself contains these molecules in them that are called silymarin, which stimulate the liver to do a better job of detoxifying. And in fact, in the process of detoxifying things, the liver actually liver has two stages of detoxification. The first stage actually creates more toxic secondary byproducts and more free radicals. So when we can speed up the second part of the process, which we can do with milk thistle, or we can do with mushrooms that are very, very friendly to the liver, shall we say, we can improve the liver's ability to remove things from our body. But we also have the kidneys and the lungs as detoxification organs. And so this is one reason why it's recommended that you drink so many glasses of water. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Joni. So many glasses of water.
We're in sync.
We actually plan it. But that's why you want to drink a lot of water, because it helps to flush the toxins out of the body. And breathing also. Breathing can breathe out, exhale toxins as well. So because we're a mushroom company and because this is a Q&A basically regarding the use of mushrooms in pets, what I want to say is that we look to mushrooms such as reishi for its protective effect on the liver. It's protective because it helps to protect the liver from toxicity, but it also improves the liver's ability to detoxify. If I had to choose any one mushroom out of them all, I'd choose reishi for that. But every mushroom has profiles that show it improves function of liver, helps to protect the kidneys, helps to protect the liver. That's where, something like cordyceps comes in. And then when you look at what the mushrooms can do in terms of the beta-glucan content, say, for example, turkey tail, it also has a detoxification effect if you can look at pathogens as also being toxic influences on the body. And they do. That's one reason why they're pathogens, is they produce little mini toxins in their local environment that wind up doing damage, which is why we get sick and develop fevers and things like that. So that is basically it in a nutshell about how we approach detoxification. We can dig down and get much more complicated than that, but that's the view from 10,000 feet.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. That's really helpful and informative. And one thing, that I always think about when it comes to pets is, I mean, it's impossible at this point in the world we live in the modern world, to avoid toxins. And, you just walk out the door and, the car exhaust and, or if you go into a building, the toxins that are just in the air and, are being recirculated through the air. But animals are, if you think animal, they're lower to the ground, so they're closer to that exhaust pipe that's coming, as the cars drive by. Where do they lay? They're in the house, they're laying on the carpet, which is treated with chemicals, or on the couch, which has fire retardants or whatever, and they're just right there with their nose pushed right into it. So meaning you're constantly, you could feed them, you could feed them a raw food diet that's organic and avoid all, the synthetics, etc. And they're still going to be, unless you get, organic bedding or organic carpet. I mean, some people do go, to the extremes. It's, it becomes expensive, and the average person is is just going to be surrounded by toxins.
It's difficult to avoid them, certainly. There was an interesting study that came out of Purdue a number of years ago where they actually measured the impact of Roundup, because people regularly will spray Roundup on their lawns to kill weeds. And yet we know Roundup also has some toxicity, maybe even as a carcinogenic property as well. And they did a study where they were able to measure the Roundup in the blood of dogs that lived in houses where they didn't spray, but were next door to houses where they did spray. And there was really very little difference between dogs that lived in houses where they sprayed and houses where they didn't spray. And and our dogs are close to the ground. There's another factor, and that was really good to mention that, Joni, but there's another factor, which is that our dogs also live shorter lives than us, unfortunately. This is why there's so much interest in longevity, because we wish they would live as long as we do, or longer. But that also means that the rate of change of pathology from exposure to toxins is that much more rapid. And so we also consider our pets to be canaries in the mine, and they are sentinels for human exposure as well to all of these same toxins. So anything that we're saying today about toxicity and pets also is pertinent to you yourself. And
it's a red flag for us. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So there you go. And let me just say my disclaimer. Let me get ahead of the curve. Which is that I'm looking forward to answering your questions, and I'll do my very best give you my very best answers to help you with your pets. But we don't have a doctor-patient relationship. I don't have all the information about your pet and their environment and whatnot. So I don't want to do any harm. So so that's my disclaimer. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm giving educational advice.
There you go. Thank you, Rob. And I actually had as you were talking about detox, and you were talking about, breathing and stuff, like detoxing through the lungs, etc. I have a question. I don't know this. We sweat, and dogs and cats don't. And I know that sometimes I don't drink anymore, but when I was younger and I'd go out and drink, it would literally come out of my pores. You know what I mean? So it's one of the ways that we expel toxins. Animals don't have that. So I was just kind of.
Well, the skin can still excrete toxins through the skin, through the hair follicles, just not in our sweating process.
Got it.
So yeah, the skin is also an organ of excretion, but not nearly as robust as liver, kidneys, and lungs.
Yeah, and you look at the explosion of health issues in pets. I won't name specific ones, but it's epidemic, and much of it is related to environmental, our environment.
Exactly.
Very big.
And we're seeing the same uptick in these kinds of nasty diseases in humans as well. I mean, it's a global thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So are we ready for, and we should announce, let's start out. Thank you, Jordan. Oh, and by the way, I should say Jordan is here, even though Jordan's not in front of the camera. Jordan is amazing in the background for us. So thank you, Jordan. And she's posting questions, and we have a special discount that we're running. Love Your Pets 25, and you can get 25% off site-wide, and that is until May 23rd. So by all means, take advantage of that. So where do we want to start with the questions? First one, I've taken my adopted border collie mix off oral flea worm pesticides and detoxing fatty tumors that have saved her life by capturing the toxins in the fat. Okay. I'm using 7 mushrooms for her. Anything else? And that's a great question. I've heard people say that before. Is there truth to the fact that lipomas, those fatty tumors, are actually repositories for?
Well, the fatty tissue is a place where many toxins will be stored because many toxins are fat soluble.
Yes.
And so that's what can be carcinogenic with the fat cells that can create the benign lipomas. Yeah. So yes, I think that's definitely one mechanism to think about.
Yeah.
I think there also are genetic tendencies to it as well.
Okay.
Certain breeds have more of them.
So this person's asked if there's anything else other than the 7 mushroom. Okay. Well, you talked about the milk thistle. Yeah.
I think I'm not sharing what the 7 mushrooms are that you're using, but I'm sure they have some value as far as detoxification.
Yeah. Maybe it's the Daily Dawg, which has 7 mushrooms in it. And actually the Daily Dawg, or Daily Dawg, it has, it's got the milk thistle in it. We should we should talk about that too. Because
the Daily Dawg has the milk thistle.
And the chlorella is another detox, right?
What? I'm sorry, what was that?
The chlorella is also very good. I mean, I know detox is one of the, when you were creating this, what I call your masterpiece Daily Dawg formula, I know detox was part of your thinking around the book.
Yeah, I wanted to have a couple of different functions: improve microbiome, support detoxification, provide immune support primarily, and so that's what it does. And I think the seaweed extracts also can help with that detoxification.
Yeah, and so 25% off. Great opportunity to try our Daily Dawg out. So the next question, I have 2 indoor-outdoor cats. The female catches, kills, and eats small animals such as mice, rabbits, and birds. How will detoxification help her?
Well, it's good that she's getting a natural prey diet. That's good for her, which may help improve her body's own natural detoxification function. But she's outside. They're outside and they're exposed to things outside and exposed to things inside. Yeah. So I think we have to just assume, because it's a reality, that we're all exposed to toxins in every way. And we need to, all of us, each of us, develop some sort of a personal strategy that works for us, works for our pets. Yeah. So I think detoxification will just help keep her healthy, keep her happy. We don't know where those small animals are, what they're eating and what they might have in them as well. And, are they munching on grass that's got, Roundup on it?
Or some sort of rodent killer or something like that. Unfortunately, I mean,
all that stuff. Yeah,
it's so much more reason why we should, we need to be using natural substances in our yards and stuff to, for pest control and everything like that, because it's not just going to kill the animal, the pest. It could be that cat or that bird that kills that animal. Eat it. So the next question, how can I support a dog to heal from severe acute pancreatitis? and then going forward living with the increased risk. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, severe and acute pancreatitis oftentimes is so severe that nothing can go in by mouth without it coming back immediately. So typically, we treat those with hospitalization and with intravenous therapy, or at the very least with subcutaneous therapy. But many of these animals just can't eat until their pancreas calms down, and that can take a while. And when they're on IVs, we also can administer them IV antioxidants. And what we've learned is that with pancreatitis, with acute pancreatitis, we give antioxidants intravenously, and they help a lot. The antioxidant that's primarily used is called N-acetylcysteine, which is available in an injectable form, but also available as a supplement. But once the acute pancreatitis converts to what we call a chronic pancreatitis, which means they can eat again. And of course, looking at what foods may have initially precipitated that, if in fact it was a food that did precipitate it, because foods don't always precipitate pancreatitis, and avoiding that, and it doesn't mean avoiding oils and fats completely, but it may mean avoiding larger amounts or larger amounts at a time. I mean, fish oil is very valuable. You may not want to give a large dosage. You may want to spread it out in small amounts throughout the day. But then the use of antioxidants at the same time for chronic pancreatitis is very important. And what does that have to do with mushrooms? Well, we know for a fact that all mushrooms have very potent antioxidant properties. And there are some mushrooms which have a very special antioxidant found only in mushrooms called ergothioneine. And I think we've spoken a little bit about this in the past. We'll speak much more about it in the future. And Real Mushrooms has a product that is specifically an ergothioneine product, but many of our mushrooms also contain ergothioneine, for instance, in the 5 Defenders, which might be a good choice to use in this case as an antioxidant. So that's what I would suggest as far as that.
And also mushrooms are anti-inflammatory too, so that could potentially help as well. Yeah. It's a tough one when you have a dog with it's scary to add foods or supplements or get them back onto their regular diet. So we wish you all the best.
Challenge, yes.
Yeah. Next question. Hello, I'm interested in purchasing mushrooms for my 10-year-old dog, and I'm confused about what products to actually purchase. Please help. This is actually a really great question because people do get confused by all the choices out there.
Well, I think that the first place, and certainly there's an easy answer to that one, which is our blend that has 5 mushrooms in it. So why choose?
Let it out.
Let me kind of preface that, by saying, what is your intention in providing mushrooms for your dog? Because that can help us focus. If it's something that there might be an individual mushroom that would work better, at a higher amount than the 5 Defenders, then maybe that would be appropriate. But in general, if you're just looking for a wellness benefit, improve immune system, all those other things, our 5 Defenders, which has 5 mushrooms in it, is really the best bet. And we have that in small capsules. We have that in large capsules. We have that in powder. We also have it in a soft chew, which has herbs in it that also improve immune system function. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think our immune chews are our best-selling product.
They are
with 5 Defenders right behind it. So, and then the Relax chews as well, which are another amazing formula.
Well, the chews are our best sellers, I think, because of the convenience of administration.
So easy, yeah.
And also because they work great.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they do. They really do. Next question: what kind of mushroom powder can I add to my dog's food who has kidney disease and low thyroid? Ooh.
I'd look towards cordyceps for this one, specifically because the kidney disease, but also the low thyroid. Cordyceps is what's called an adaptogen, which means that it has an impact on the hormones in the body, and it certainly has an impact on the stress hormones, and it has an impact on the gonadal hormones, and all the hormones in the body, really, they all have this interrelationship. So that's what I would recommend for that. And with low thyroid, we're not as concerned about iodine, as compared to high thyroid. So, you might want to look at adding some seaweed to that. And we do have seaweed in our in our Daily Dawg formula as well. So that might be another way to go that direction.
Yeah.
For your dog.
And I'm just looking in the chat. Somebody asked, what about a dog with hypothyroid? Well, low thyroid is hypothyroid. So that cordyceps answer would apply
Yes.
for yes, so just different words. Same.
And dogs typically get hypothyroid. Cats typically get hyperthyroid. There's two different sides of the coin because of their different metabolism and how things work for them.
Yeah. And you would recommend cordyceps for a hyperthyroid cat for the same reason as an adaptogen, or no? We haven't really talked about hyperthyroid in cats. Is it a little too stimulating?
I don't think so. I mean, not really, but I think that hyperthyroid needs to be treated. I don't think
of course,
treat it with a mushroom.
Absolutely.
And the cordyceps has a benefit to the heart. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that kills them from hyperthyroid is that their heart muscle is beating so rapidly that it builds up and becomes into a cardiomyopathy, and then they die secondarily of that cardiomyopathy. So if we can support, now I was thinking it would be a good support for the heart, not so much altering the secretion, because the hyperthyroid happens when there's a benign nodule. It's actually kind of a form of cancer that is on the thyroid gland that produces excessive thyroid hormone, and they go with a surgery to remove that, and they also use radioactive iodine by injection, and then there's also a pill that prevents the gland from releasing the thyroid hormone, so it helps that way.
And I know you've mentioned many times on this live about cordyceps being palatable for cats.
In that case too, very good.
Added benefit that they actually will eat it in most cases.
Yeah. And although I know we don't like talking about commercial processed foods, but I will say that Hills has a prescription diet called YD that has 0 iodine in it. And they have found that if you could reduce to almost nothing the amount of iodine that your cat takes in, it actually can fix that hyperthyroidism just like that. Mm-hmm. But iodine is, an essential nutrient. And so you have to balance that against what a deficiency of it is. And so, but we have information on how much iodine is in our products. If you do have an animal that's on YD, we can help you with that.
Awesome. Next question from Jessica. What mushroom? I have the chaga and turkey tail. My dog was diagnosed with prostate cancer in January.
Those are good.
Those are good.
Those are good. Can't get better than that, as far as cancer. They're really, if anything, they're the two most dominant mushrooms to think of when it comes to cancer.
Yeah.
Then after that would be reishi and maitake.
Right.
Shiitake. And then, all mushrooms are actually pretty good for that.
Yeah. The key being you just want to give them in higher doses than you would for an animal that was a healthy pet.
Exactly.
And that the dosages on our bottles are basically for healthy pets.
Yes. Yeah. So we can double and quadruple that dosage very safely as needed, but I would not start with that high dosage. I would start with a lower dosage to get your animal to be adapted to it.
Yep. Next question from Beth. My dog has a history of hip dysplasia and IVDD. Is there any mushroom for inflammation and joints? She currently takes the human or large 5 Defenders 1 tablet.
I think that's a good approach, but you might want to use more than that.
Yeah.
The maitake in the 5 Defenders is shown to be good as an analgesic agent. The reishi, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, has analgesic properties as well. You also get the neuro benefit, from the reishi in there. So I think the 5 Defenders would be a good place to go. You just need to dose it probably higher. Your dog.
Yeah, we don't know. You don't mention how large your dog is, but I'm guessing with hip dysplasia that probably it's a larger, not a toy dog. So probably that one capsule. Like Doc Rob was saying, you want to increase.
Mm-hmm. Probably a capsule per 20 to 40 pounds of body weight. would be one good starting point. And if you wanted to give it you could then start at the 40 per 40 pounds and then increase it to the 20 pounds, see how that does. I would give it a couple of weeks at least to have an effect. And of course, we're not recommending that these be used as standalone therapies for this painful problem that your dog has, but it would be a good partner with any of the other supplements or pharmaceuticals that you might be using. Acupuncture is very good. Cold laser is very good. The electromagnetic force, a CC loop, and the pads are very good for this. Chiropractic, massage. There's a lot of approaches that are non-pharmaceutical that can help. But when it gets to be really, really serious and painful, oftentimes that's when we have to bite the bullet to keep them comfortable.
Yeah, as says our dog's 58 pounds. So yeah, probably more than one capsule would be beneficial. And without letting the cat too much out of the bag, I'm always the one saying, don't say anything. But I'm so excited. I'll just drop a hint that Doc Rob is very hard at work on some very exciting new formulations that should be coming out in the next couple months. And there might be one that would be perfect for you, Beth. So without, was that too big of a hint?
Well, we are trying to address issues like that, because I was surprised when I started working in this mushroom space, and one of the first questions people would ask me is, what mushroom is there for arthritis? And we don't typically think of that. So the way that we make that work, the way I make that work, is to take the good mushrooms like I'm mentioning, and then add some other supplements that can help to reduce pain and inflammation and everything else, and put it all together into a combination like a soft chew or a capsule or a powder.
Yeah. And for those that don't know Dr. Silver's history here, I mean, how many, is it like 30 years? How many years have you been formulating products that like
about 30 years now?
Yeah. Some of the most popular products in the pet marketplace, some of them, when I say popular, some of the most effective products that have been used, religiously by veterinarians, prescribed by veterinarians, have been formulated by Doc Rob. So we're so grateful to have him now with Real Mushrooms and starting to move into these. It's one of the reasons that we went from, many of we stopped carrying the cordyceps, reishi, and chaga for pets, the single mushrooms, the small size, the 300 milligram. They're still available in the large or the human size. But we wanted to take advantage of Doc Rob's like extreme gift in being able to formulate, put ingredients together that are incredibly effective. And I feel so blessed I get to be kind of the fly on the wall watching Rob's process and seeing how he really literally like agonizes through each, okay, well, I want this, but this isn't the right one. And this clinical study this one doesn't have a clinical study and that one does. And, it's not just like tossing a bunch of ingredients together. There's extreme thought that he puts into every ingredient that goes in our product. So there you go. There's
well, thank you, Joni. But, not to blow my horn too much, but, I'm trained as a veterinarian, 40 years practice experience. So it kind of, so when I started working with this other company 25 years, 30 years ago, and was called upon to start formulating, it kind of surprised me how easy it came to me, because I love cooking, and this was kind of like cooking, but I'm also a bit of a nerd. So I dig down on all these studies on all these different supplements, and somehow, just what started out as a hobby turned out to be, something that's a very useful skill. Thank you, Joni, for
no, absolutely. No, it's really, it's one of my favorite parts of this job is when you've been working on it like a mad scientist, and when you first you share the formula, and I usually kind of squeal. And
I must admit, Joni's a big fan of me, and I love that.
and we got a few. I'm really excited about what we have coming down the pike.
I mean, because at home, it's like, Doc who?
Yeah. And I should also say that we're also, we've gotten a lot of people that say, I love the Daily Dawg, but I've got a large dog or I've got multiple dogs, and that little bottle is just not going to last very long. So we are looking at larger. The bottle that we have is going to remain, but we are also looking at bulk sizes to make it more efficient and more affordable for those that have the big guys.
Yeah, it's a balance because, many of those ingredients, they're very special. I mean, there's one that's a patented extract of seaweed that you could only get from New Zealand, and so they don't come cheaply, but good health doesn't come cheaply either.
No.
So we're just trying to make it as less as minimally costly as we can, but still keep that quality up, and that's a balance.
Yeah, and that's one of what I love about our company, and then we can move back to the questions. But one of the things I love is that we're coming out with these blends that might be a little more expensive, but we also have the single mushrooms. We have the 5 defenders that it's such a reasonable price. We have the powders, we have the bulk size powders. So I think there's really something for everybody as far as, where you are with the size of your pet and financial considerations. So now we're going to move on to Lorraine, who's asking if I add Daily Dawg also to my Shiba Inu's mushrooms, which he takes maybe that's chaga.
I bet it is.
Chaga, reishi, 5 defenders, turkey tail, lion's mane, and cordyceps. I feed raw. Is it too many mushrooms?
There is no such thing as too many mushrooms.
Yeah.
But if your dog tolerates them and seems to be doing well and doesn't upset the digestive system, you're doing fine. I mean, the question really is, when you say, is it too many mushrooms? It should be, is it too many mushrooms for this intention that I have for the formula? For wellness, then we would want to look at how much of these are you giving for your animal's weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're dealing with a specific issue, are you giving the right mushrooms in the right amounts?
That's a great blend. Good for you.
Yeah. And I like to go back and, like, my little dog Scruffy, she gets something different in her bowl every day. She gets a different food in her bowl. Every meal she eats something different. But I also, I rotate the mushrooms I give her. She's going to get the Daily Dawg for dinner. And then in the morning, she gets the 5 defenders and the cordyceps. And, then she might get some lion's mane at the next, I'm lucky I've got a lot of different mushrooms.
Yeah, you do.
On hand, but but there are a lot of people, it seems like, that do buy multiples and are figuring out how to incorporate them. And you don't want a bowl just full of supplements, so you can rotate them around if you want to. And thanks for posting that again, Jordan. For those that came on a little late, we're running. We have a discount code, Love UR Pets 25, so you can get 25% off anything on our site until May 23rd. So take a screenshot or copy that down. Maybe you're not you're not wanting to purchase right now, but you want to hold on to that discount code for later. So make sure you note that. Can cats have Daily Dawg?
They can. It has the bladderwrack seaweed in it, which does have a lot of iodine. So if your cat's a hyperthyroid, I wouldn't recommend the Daily Dawg. We do have a feline specific product, much like the Daily Dawg, coming very, very soon.
Very soon. Yeah.
To a website near you.
And if I can give a little update on that. So whenever we get a new product for pets, of course, as humans, we know it's a supplement. We're going to take it. It might not taste great, but we know it's good for us. But when we're dealing with pets, we want something that's palatable, especially when dealing with cats. We don't want to make a product that no cat eats. So we got some samples of this feline product, and we did some taste testing with cats. So far, the latest total is that of this product, 22 cats ate the product, and only 3 refused it, which I think is pretty phenomenal.
When they have tasting panels for new versions of cat food, they're happy if they get 50% palatability.
Yeah, we're like, what is 22 like in 3? That's like 90, yeah, I don't know. I'm not good with my math, but that's a lot. That's quite a high percentage.
I think that's 87%, but something like that. Yeah.
You're like, so you're just showing off now, bro.
Well,
You're Mr. No Calculator. So Sherilyn has a question. I have a cat and kitten rescue. Good for you. And we quite often have cancer, cats, and tumors. Please, could you let me know which mushrooms are best for cancer? Does it depend on the type of cancer?
Thank you for the question, Sherilyn. Well, if they weren't cats, then I might suggest, different mushrooms to use. But because, and we just finished talking about cats, it's not going to work unless you get it in them. And so we want to use something that we know is pretty effective for getting in there. So in terms of a single mushroom, my recommendation for a cat with cancer would be either cordyceps or lion's mane. Lion's mane I would use more for cancers of the GI tract or nervous system. And cordyceps I would use for most cancers in general. I'd use it for lymphoma. I'd use it for solid tumors as well. I'd use it for cardiac. But they're very, very palatable. We sell them in bulk pouches, which makes it affordable if you have a rescue operation. I'm sure money is not growing on trees for you. So that makes it better. And so that's worth a try.
And I'm wondering about this cat product that's coming out, just because of the palatability issue and the fact that it has a lot of seven different mushrooms in it, including turkey tail and reishi.
It does. And what I did with this feline formula, can I say the name?
Not yet.
But
we're running a contest.
Okay.
We're supposed to be guessing the name.
All right. So but what I did was I put more cordyceps in it because I believe cordyceps to really be the quintessential mushroom for cats because of its support and protection of the kidneys. And kidneys are the weakest spot in a cat's system.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So somebody in the chat is saying, looking forward to the blend for cats. Mine will eat cordyceps and lion's mane only. So that's kind of confirmation of what we've been saying. They
know what I'm saying, talking about here.
Oh, goodness. So Teresa says, hello, we're using the common treats and 5 defenders and started using lion's mane as my girl has had a reaction to the Librela injection. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're trying to help it out of her system. Any other recommendations?
So it's a problem. And lion's mane does seem as though it's possibly helpful in that case theoretically because of its influence on nerve growth factor, which is part of this whole Librela thing. But we don't have enough anecdotal information from the community to confirm that or not. I'm working with a veterinarian in Seattle who is going to be trying some strategies that I have for Librela and also for CCD. Now we do have something for CCD, which is not has to do with the cognitive thing in senior pets. So lion's mane's good, but we have this other product. It's not a pet product. It's called Ergo Plus, and it's basically a very high potency antioxidant that contains the ergothioneine, which has very similar functions at the same receptors with the same nerve growth factors that lion's mane does, that Librela is involved in. So this is what I do, and this is what I've done for my 40-year career, as an alternative vet, is I read about something, I read about the mechanism of action, something kind of goes off inside and says, is it going to work? And then we try it. We try it in a number of cases. So I would say, I'm sorry for the problem. I wish I had something more actionable for you. I'd bump up that lion's mane dosage a bit, depending what you're using. The calming treats, are you talking about the Relax Chews, which would have lion's mane in them and reishi? You might get higher potency and it'd be more cost effective just using the lion's mane alone. The advantage of the calming treats is they also contain tryptophan and some amino acids that can also have a settling effect, but I don't think it's going to address the Librela issue, which is quite complicated.
Yeah, and speaking of Librela, we did have a lot of we had a lot of people join the group that have dogs that have been having reactions to Librela. And Doc Rob has written a blog about Librela, kind of what the issue is, and talking about lion's mane. So if you go to our Real Mushrooms page, I don't know, Jordan, if you want to post that blog, anybody that's using Librela with their animals, which is for osteoarthritis, you might want to take a look at that blog.
It's a work in process. I'm going to come. I identified this as a very important issue, and we're going to find a way to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question: I have given my dogs daily probiotics for years now, pre and probiotics. Now I give some of my dogs the Daily Dawg. Do they need additional pre and postbiotics as well?
Well, not knowing your dogs and not knowing why they need the daily probiotics, other than everybody needs daily probiotics, I think that the Daily Dawg very well could substitute for what you're doing. The Saccharomyces boulardii is in there at a very good level and has very good research as far as its ability. The mushrooms, the one-to-one mushrooms, have great mushroom fiber in them, which is a great prebiotic. So yeah, no, I think it's worthwhile doing that. And if you were to have some kind of frank GI issue, you might want to target it more for that frank GI issue. Although I do think that the Daily Dawg should be helpful with a mild GI issues as well, because of what's in it. So yeah, I think you can.
And you can also add probiotics in the form of what different types of foods, like
fermented vegetables and stuff.
Yeah, fermented goat's milk and things like that. You can work with that as well. Next question from Brian. I have a Pitbull that had a sarcoma on the third digit on her left foot 6 years ago, which was amputated. Now it looks like a new growth on a digit on the same foot. What can I do?
Yeah. Well, it's good that you got her on the turkey tail now, and the 5 defenders, which contains turkey tail, or maybe you've switched from turkey tail to 5 defenders, which is fine. And what this tells me is that your dog has a tendency to develop these, and for some reason in the foot. So whether you had used mushrooms prior to this, as a hopefully preventative, and whether it would really have prevented or not, I don't know, but it would have been a good strategy to try. It may be that you're going to be stuck with another digit amputation, and which aren't fun, but they're not super as disabling or as a hind limb amputation or something along those lines. I mean, be glad it's not someplace else, although that's of little comfort to you and your dog. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm sorry that has happened. Lightning has struck twice, hasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have my, I feel you, Brian. It's when Scruffy, I've been watching this tiny little dot on her belly. It's probably nothing, but that sinking feeling when you notice something has shifted on your pet, whether it's a lump or a bump or something.
And those sarcomas are nasty.
Yeah.
They never quit. I've not found really very good solutions to sarcomas. They are, they're like a tumor on steroids.
Yeah, but you're right. At least a digit's better than a limb. That's for sure. Yeah. The next question from Pam. I have a 3-year-old, 7.5-pound Shih Tzu. Dose for Daily Dawg is 1 teaspoon for 20 to 40 pounds. Is the dose the same for less than 20 pounds? Any idea when there's a mushroom?
That's my book.
That will be. Oh, and there's a mushroom. There's a mushroom for that.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and prorate that dosage by weight. So take 7.5 and divide it by 20 and take that fraction and multiply a teaspoon by that fraction and use that as your dosage. And I think that'll be fine. If you can give more, it's safe to give. And, if it's not a budget issue, then more's good too. And the book is getting closer. We've been working on cover art, and we're really in the final throes prior to sending it to the printer. I'm hopeful It's May already, though, isn't it? May 16th. Yeah, I was hopeful to have it, by the beginning of June. It may not be till the end of June or early July, but it's coming. It is coming, and you'll know about it when it comes for sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good. I'm
I
pretty
can't
happy with
wait.
it.
Yeah, you're in all your spare time when you're not speaking at conferences and formulating products and
That's what I can't wait to be done with the thing.
writing blogs and oh my gosh,
Mm.
teaching courses for veterinarians and all that stuff. You managed to squeeze a book out and a good one too.
It is good. I'm always surprised when I read it. I go, who wrote that? Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm.
Natalie's asking thoughts on Galliprant with turmeric and turkey tail.
So I read this, and I guess they're being used for some sort of a painful arthritic condition. So there's no reason why you can't use the Galliprant along with your turkey tail and turmeric. I want to caution you that not all turmeric is very well absorbed. There are some better turmerics than others as far as absorption, and you're going to get better results for pain if you use one of these more highly bioavailable forms of turmeric. And that doesn't mean a form of turmeric that uses black pepper or bioperine, but there's better technologies than that. But they're not going to have they're not going to have a negative effect on the Galliprant. Wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd mention the black pepper, because a lot of people think that just the turmeric black pepper combo is like some sort of magical.
They'll just take the spice and put black pepper in it, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah, exactly.
In India, where they use so much turmeric, they cook it with black pepper and oils and spices. And what these do is the oil especially helps to extract the turmeric, from the spice, and makes it much more bioavailable. And so that's why we see in India such a low rate of Alzheimer's disease, because there's so much intake of turmeric, and it is absorbed because it's in their cuisine.
Exactly. Yep. Next question. I heard that lots of mushroom growers grow their mushrooms on sawdust. Why is this? And is there any difference compared to wild mushrooms? This is a great question. I've been, yeah.
So, mushrooms will either grow on like compost and leaf litter, or they're wood lovers, and they'll grow on wood. In the wild, they'll grow on a tree, and we think that because it's growing in the wild, maybe it's better, but we don't always get the most potent variety of mushroom when we grow it on a tree. And because, as we discussed earlier, pollution really is global, and even some of these pristine forests that you might talk about in the Pacific Northwest, they still are subject to all this pollution, which means that these mushrooms, which are bioaccumulators, are going to be accumulating some of these pollutants as well. So we grow our mushrooms in China, and China grows 85% of the world's mushrooms. They've been doing it for well over 1,000 years. They know what they're doing. We introduced organic growing to China and created the first conference for mushroom growers in China to learn how to grow their mushrooms according to USDA organic standards. And so we find that by using the byproducts of the lumber industry there, which involves sawdust, so to speak, it's not dust, it's really granulated wood, that the wood provides a great growing medium for the mushroom mycelium to grow on. And because it's particulated into such a small amount, it has incredible surface area, which increases the amount of myceliation of that sawdust, and ultimately means you're going to get better mushroom, more mushrooms growing out of that sawdust. So, sometimes in the wild, you're not going to be able to find versions that you want. And so in some areas, and so they need to be cultivated in order to grow them. Shiitake, for instance, is very dependent on the type of wood that it grows in. So sometimes the cultivated versions are much better. So just because it says sawdust and maybe the emphasis is more on dust, it's not true. and our mushroom, and we analyze our mushrooms. We have certificates of analysis for our mushrooms. We know that our mushrooms are very clean. We know we're selling to the practitioners in Canada, in the US, and around the globe, and they are much more particular even than pet parents about the quality of what they use. And we are the most purchased mushroom by practitioners in the world. So I think that we grow our mushrooms on sawdust is a good thing.
And not all our mushrooms. We grow, like reishi is growing on logs, and our chaga is, yeah.
Our chaga is still wildcrafted because you can't
exactly.
Really
you can't cultivate it.
Chaga, and if someone tells you they're growing chaga, I wouldn't believe it.
Or if they tell you they're growing lion's mane in the wild. Again, I don't think that's possible. There's not, it's very rare in the wild. Lion's mane has to be cultivated.
And it's only since we could cultivate lion's mane that we actually are able to get all this research going to find out just how great this mushroom is and what ingredients it has in it. And we're finding that, I know there's been emphasis on the elements in the mycelium for lion's mane, but every day there's new studies coming out showing even more molecules that are being found in the fruiting body other than the hericenones, which also benefit cognitive thought. So
absolutely.
We are trying hard, and I believe we are succeeding in checking off all the boxes to create a really good quality product.
Constant research and development. That's right. And one of the things that I love about our products is that it is standardized. Like the bottle that you got a month ago is going to have the same level of constituents in it that the bottle that you buy tomorrow. And you just don't know what you're getting sometimes when you're getting stuff that's been growing in the wild. So let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
From Anne. I'm feeding fresh food diet for my 3-year-old dog, and I do add a variety of your mushrooms, but is there a vitamin supplement that would provide all that she needs? I give her fresh herbs and weeds also.
Well, I don't know what she needs, so it's hard to say that there'd be one vitamin supplement that would provide all of that. And I tend to not think that to be true because, the commercially available supplements, they're kind of made in more of a generic fashion to generally benefit animals or people, as a whole. So the fresh food diet, that's very good. And the mushrooms have a variety of good constituents in them, nutritional as well as a nutraceutical. And you're giving her fresh herbs, and you're giving her, I assume the weeds is just another way of saying herbs. Weeds are just herbs that are growing where we don't want them to, right? So I don't have a specific product to recommend to you. There's quite a few out there that I think that are, that are being offered by many of our pet health coaches out there. And I think that I haven't seen any that I don't think have value. But what would be specifically right for your pet? It's hard for me to say without knowing your pet.
I will say, though, Daily Dawg is
Yeah, but I was thinking that she was thinking more of,
multivitamin. Yeah, no, I know. I hear you, and I thought that too. But I just wanted to put it out there that you did formulate Daily Dawg to be like a daily meal topper, a daily kind of fill in the gaps type supplement that covered many bases. So
and Anne apparently is a herbalist because she knows how to identify lamb's quarter and purslane and etc., which is an interesting herb. So I'm sure you're doing the right thing there, Anne, with your crew.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, do we have any more questions?
We're close, but
we're getting close to the end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's look up. Next question. I live in Canada, so I ordered the quote human mushrooms from iHerb, lion's mane, and reishi. Can you tell me what amount I should give to my dog?
Well, do we know what your dog weighs? And do we know again what your intention is in giving them to your dog?
Right.
But why don't you try one human capsule of each for every 20 to 40 pounds of body weight, starting at the lower dosage level per 40 pounds. And that's kind of a generic answer. but it should put you pretty much in a pretty good place, at least to get started. And then we could fine tune that, over time.
Yeah, that's good answer, Rob. Taylor's asking, is Daily Dawg and Five Defenders the same formula?
Well, the Five Defenders has the Daily Dawg in it. It is our most popular product, and it made sense.
You said it backwards.
What did I say?
Yeah, you said the Five Defenders has the Daily Dawg in it.
Okay, well, the Five Defenders is in the Daily Dawg.
There you go.
and it is our most popular blend for good reason. So I wanted it to be available in other sources as well. You'll also find the Five Defenders in our feline formula, whatever it's called. I was going to say it, right? So no, it is the same. They're not the same formula, but they are in both formulas. The five mushrooms are in both formulas.
Yeah. Is there a mushroom that helps with seizures, considering the Five Defenders mushrooms?
I think that's a possibility. We don't, when you look at the studies for seizures, I would look more to reishi because of its huge anti-inflammatory effect and its benefit to the nervous system. And I would combine that with lion's mane for seizures, and I'd probably combine some CBD as well.
Yeah, definitely CBD, huh? What symptoms or signs should I look for in my dogs after giving them a quarter teaspoon of mushroom extract daily for 6 months? I guess she means what improvements?
You do not see anything really. I mean, if you're improving the immune system, you don't really know the immune system's working until you're being challenged with it. And again, I don't know what size your dogs are or how much of a dose a quarter teaspoon is, but I think generically speaking, mushrooms are functional foods, and we think the tendency is, boy, new kid on the block, what can we, it's a cure all for everything. Well, mushrooms are more of a way of improving your overall diet and your overall health, and we don't always get to see an immediate result in terms of what you're looking for. It's not that transactional in that regards, but there's so much research and there's so much information, both anecdotal and objective, that supports their use on a daily basis for a variety of things. And that's what we're doing here, is to help you figure that out.
Yeah, and I do want to throw in, as far, yes, it's kind of like watching grass grow, right? You really don't see an immediate difference. But I will say there's one, and I think you know where I'm going here. There is one mushroom that we have, I've personally received feedback about seeing a difference, and that's the lion's mane with cognitive issues in animals, and it's what got me interested in mushrooms, was working with veterinarians that were using lion's mane mushroom with pets, and that had canine cognitive dysfunction or also doggy dementia, and the pet parents were reporting seeing changes in the activities of daily living. They were finding the dog door where they hadn't been able to find it for a year. They were making direct eye contact with their owners. They were initiating play where they hadn't been. They were finding their way around the furniture. So those were very observable things that were happening in these dogs after being on the lion's mane for a period of time. So, not a clinical study, but I wanted to put it out there because it is the reason that I ended up becoming, I guess, Yeah. You don't like when I use the word obsessed, but I'm slightly obsessed with mushrooms.
Well, yeah, and I read the question as kind of a genero, so I'm giving it now. How do I know it's doing anything? It kind of was what
exactly. Yeah, and I just wanted to, and mine was just a caveat that the lion's mane is one that you potentially could see something that's observable. Like if I had to think of one mushroom that you could actually see an actual change.
You could also look at like reishi and chaga in the Five Defenders in terms of their antihistaminic effect.
True.
Seasonal allergies, and if you get
there you go, that's true as well. Yep.
So I mean, but yeah, So good point. Good point, Joni.
All righty. Next question. How much time? We're at the. Can we do one more question? We're at the 8 o'clock mark.
Yeah.
Gracious. Is there a list of conferences or events Dr. Rob is speaking at? Love to hear more. Yeah, go ahead.
This year I'm not doing as much speaking as I did last year. I'm doing a lot of attending. But what I am getting started to launch within my own realm that will, of course, relate to things I do with real mushrooms is some sort of a coaching platform that I want to tie into the book once the book comes out there. And so I want to be able to be available to give more direct advice to people, but I don't want to do it one-to-one. I like this kind of context. I think that you can get a lot done for a lot of people in a relatively limited amount of time. So we will have that information available once I figured out what I'm doing for you, Beth. And certainly you could check in with my website, which is Well Pet Dispensary, which has a newsletter that you could sign up for, where every week we send out emails, which also would inform you of what I'm doing.
Yeah. And as far as like Real Mushrooms is exhibiting, we're going to be at the Nautical Dog event, the big event in Williamsburg, Virginia, with Karen Becker and Rodney Habib and many, many other speakers. It's going to be very exciting. They're launching their book, The Forever Dog 2. That's July 13th, I believe. And Doc Rob, you're going to be there. Exhibit at the Real Mushrooms table. You can meet him there.
Come talk to me.
Yeah, you're going to be at AHVMA.
We'll be in Reno.
Dr. Judy's Naturally Healthy Pets, the international experience down in Florida.
October.
Yeah, you're going to be at the Fetch. You are going to be speaking at the Fetch conference up in New Jersey.
That's what they tell me. I think it's also in October in Atlantic City.
Yeah. And so, and then of course, every month we're going to be here, and you do tons of podcasts and all kinds of stuff. You're all over the place, Rob. So
you should speak. You should talk.
So, one more time, 25% off. Love You Are Pets 25. You can get 25% off everything on our site, including Rob. No, just kidding. Until May 23rd. And we hope to see you next month. And our topic is up in the air. It depends on if we have a new product available to talk about or not.
We would do a feline topic.
Yeah, if we have the product in hand by then we'll be talking about it. Otherwise, we're probably going to be talking about summer health tips for your pet.
I'm really happy that we're making a cat product, and I'm really, in my practice, I was always very fond of working with the cats and always had a very cat friendly practice, and so I'm happy to service this part of the veterinary community.
Yeah, the cats are cheering you, Rob.
I know. I've got 3 cats in my household, so I guess I better know something about them.
Awesome. The code for the discount, Shirley's asking, love. You are, so if you have your camera with you, Shirley, you could take a screenshot or write it down. Love, and then you are PETS 25.
I don't think it's case sensitive. Yeah.
Love Your Pets 25. There you go. All righty, you guys.
See you next month.
See ya. Bye-bye.